In this video, I want to talk to you about the future of 9-to-5 employees. Has it changed? Is it changing? Well, yes. Innovation is everyone's job today. With software eating the world, companies need to be much more agile and adopt those startup methods, startup ways. So outside big corporations, it's a harsher competition. It's a faster pace of change. It's also, which requires a new way of thinking for employees, thinking and seeing outside the box. But what is this? Well, 9-to-5 employees yesterday, it was about coming at 9 or 8, leaving at 5 or 6, doing your task that were assigned to you, and a pretty repetitive job, while today, you need to come at your desk with some insights as to what is changing in your sector, industry. How can you take what you're doing to the next level to help your company go to the next level? It's about everyone being an innovator, a creative thinker, and so on. So more agile employees, more agile, execution method, being the concept of intrapreneurs. So you see more and more companies, bringing in the startup culture, and Google, for instance, hires a lot of contractors. I have the exact details, but what I can say is when you have a contractor, he's less inclined, to not challenge the status quo, because he's an outsider. He comes from outside with a specific goal, specific mission. He doesn't need necessarily to adapt to the culture. He can change things more. So, and then also millennials. So millennials and the next generations after the millennials, their expectations have changed. Themselves are more empowered. They want to contribute. They want to basically, have ideas, be heard for their ideas, collaborate, and so on and so on. So companies have to change their cultures to adapt and attract the future employees who don't necessarily want to be the standard 9-to-5 employees. They want to add much more value to the company. But then, with that said, the reason why companies should also hire millennials and Generation Z and adopt their cultures is because half of the world is less than 30 years old today. So if you have employees that are going to tailor your company culture, your product, and create those products that's going to meet the needs of those customers outside the company, so half the world less than 30 years old, that's a lot of customers. So it's really key to understand that there's a big shift, technological, but also on the people side. So more and more entrepreneurial cultures, you're going to see this in the years to come, and it's already there, but every company is going to adopt a much more entrepreneurial culture. Here's a slide from the World Economic Forum. So it shows the top 10 skills most in demand from 2015 to 2020, and it backs up what I'm saying here. So in 2015, already complex problem solving was a big element and skill needed. Coordinating with others, people management, and critical thinking and negotiation. So those were the top 5 skills in 2015. Let's now jump to 2020. So complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, and coordinating with others. So when I look at those skills, I can only say that these are the skills that an entrepreneur has. So what this is telling me is that from 2015 and 2020, but more so in 2020, the skills of an entrepreneur is going to be what's the most needed. Why? Because with all the disruption going on, all the changes going on, companies will need people that are able to bring change, people that are able to solve problems, that are able to think critically, that are able to be creative and come up with ideas and be flexible, agile, and manage and coordinate people to collaborate and get things done. That's exactly the whole culture of entrepreneurship. So here are 2 examples, and if you follow the success story, amazing success story of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is a fearless leader amazing character who is also doing good for the world and has a great mission. And he managed his companies and so Mark Benioff does so with the founders culture. So since they started their companies, they kept this entrepreneurial spirit, this founders culture within their walls. So Facebook, for instance, will run hackathons, will also provide some freedom to the employees, to come up with ideas, to think like entrepreneurs. Mark Zuckerberg, I read this, explains that what's most important for the company is to have a clear mission. And if you have a clear mission, then the employees can have some level of freedom to come up with ideas that align to that mission. The mission is non-negotiable, if you will, but then employees that are empowered collaborate together, come up with ideas that will help achieve that mission. I love what he said when Google Plus came up with a competitive feature, and Google is a great company too, but Mark Zuckerberg at that time said, to his employees, Carthage must be destroyed. They closed all the walls, the windows, apparently the doors. They said, the whole headquarters was on a lockdown, and they came up with a counter strategy to basically, rapidly, in a very agile manner and fast manner, counter the competition. If you followed the story, with Facebook, buying Snapchat, you've probably seen the same thing. Snapchat basically came up with a feature that threatened Facebook. Immediately, Mark Zuckerberg directed his teams to come up with a counter-attack, if you will, and build the similar features on their wall. It's the startup wars, if you will, or those technology companies are extremely in a high competition mode, so they have to use and leverage those very agile and flexible cultures. Mark Benioff says this to the world. This is a quote you can find online. The secret of successful hiring is this: look for people who want to change the world. So we're no longer looking for the 9-to-5 employees that's looking for job security only, but we're looking for people that are really going to fight for what's right for the company, that's going to come with their ideas. Don't get me wrong, that's going to be able to diplomatically collaborate with others, that's going to be able to convince people in a positive manner that their idea are worthwhile. Amazon, I could have cited Amazon here, have great values, great working values, challenge the status quo, and so on and so on. Check out the Amazon values, the Facebook values, the Salesforce.com values, amazing values, and you're going to see in there they're really baked in the entrepreneurial and innovative spirit of those founders. So it's new types of leaders, new types of employees coming in. So here, and I'll close this discussion with this slide. So here's a quote that James Krillman, a guru on strategy execution, who's right now writing a book called Strategy Execution for the Digital Era, took from me, and I'm very honored by this actually, because James Krillman is an absolute expert in the topic of strategy execution, which is really key also, and he's being agile himself, adapting the whole model of the balanced scorecard and strategy execution, and providing a book that's going to explain how you can be more agile, more flexible, and so on. So he asked on his LinkedIn, extensive network on LinkedIn, he asked people to answer some of his questions, and he had a question about in the people's opinion, what are new leaders for this generation. So I explained that from my standpoint, having lived in Boston for several years, worked with many businesses, worked in the Silicon Valley, and talked to many leaders in that space, I thought that from an experience at work as well, I think for me it's someone who understands that speed, agility, empowerment, presence, data analytics, acceptance of failure, and that's probably the most difficult piece to implement in a big corporation, is very key. On top of this, making the mission a core principle that drives everyone's job every day. So for me, this is the key elements that's going to drive transformative and continuous strategy execution in today's era. So speed, agility, empowerment, presence, data analytics, acceptance of failure, and having a strong mission that adds value to the world, that where people can rally too, and inspire, motivate, and then go at it and win into the digital tech era in this more competitive world. Thank you.